Hi, this is Erin Kline with Alaris. I'm so excited to talk with my colleague and friend Phong Cao. He is with Remax Advantage Plus. He has been in real estate for 18 years, which is a long time, which means he has lots of experience. He's part of the Remax Hall of Fame, and he's also part of the Minnesota real estate team. Hi, Phong.
Hi, Erin. Nice to see you again.
Great to see you as well. Thanks for making time to talk to me about this.
Yeah, anytime.
This is the time of year where, everybody thinks of this time of year as being the holidays, and we in the mortgage and real estate worlds think of this as the time where people are starting to think about buying a house in the spring. And so this is also the time when people are going to holiday parties and to their family holiday celebrations and talking about getting excited to buy a house. So this is a really relevant time to talk about how to get prepared, which is what we got together to talk about today. Is if you're thinking about buying a house in the new year, what are the things that you need to do to be able to be well prepared?
Yes, I came up with the top three things that you should be doing prior to the spring market if you're thinking about buying a home.
So give me the number one. What's the first thing that people should think about?
Well, the first thing is to call a mortgage consultant, someone like you, and tell them that you're ready to buy a home this spring, and to keep an eye on the rates and update you on all the mortgage product, all the ins and outs of the mortgage, so that when you're ready, you can get pre-approved, so that you know your monthly payment and how much money you need.
I love that that's your first thing, obviously, because of what I do, right? But
Yeah.
Buying a house is such an emotional process, right? And it's easy to get emotionally invested in a house before you're financially ready to buy. And it also makes it easy to make not good choices if you don't know what your finances look like. And so doing an analysis of, hey, where are we? Where do we want to be? Maybe that works. Maybe we have to save a little bit more money. What does that payment on that house look like? All of that's really useful information so that when they're ready to start looking for homes with you, they can make good choices. They have all the information that they need to be a successful home purchaser and to make a successful offer.
Yeah, and to add to that, when you know what your budget looks like, and you want to know, is this going to affect me financially? And if you fall in love with that house, you're not scrambling to get pre-approved, right after you sell the house, and then it'd be too late by then.
Right. Well, and I find too that when that happens, it really compresses the amount of time we have to be able to have a thoughtful conversation about how to structure financing. And you get so emotionally invested in the house that you'll do anything to get it at the consequence of not realizing how it will impact your finances. So
Yes.
fantastic tip. I highly recommend that step first as well. And,
Yes.
important for people who are listening to know too, when you talk to a mortgage banker, you don't have to start a pre-approval. People should be willing to talk to you about where you're at, where you want to be, and what does that look like, so you can gather the information you need to make a good choice. And then you just wait to start the pre-approval process until you're ready to actually go out and start looking for a house.
I totally agree.
Tell me about number two.
Well, the number two is to make your house hunting wish list. You create a list that you must have, and it's nice to have. So you have like two different lists, kind of. A must have is things that you must have in a home, like you want 3 bedrooms on one level, for example, or a fenced-in yard for your pet to run around. And those are must have. And then it's nice to have, maybe you like a jacuzzi, for example, or something fancy like a pool outside. Those are kind of added on bonus as you're looking. And also, it'll keep you focused as you go out and look at some properties, and which homes could be a good fit for you and your family. Some homes have too many stairs, and you said you're older, you don't want to go up and down all the time. And it makes you, become more realistic about what you want in a home, and it saves you a ton of time later on anyway, instead of running around looking at everything.
I have a story relative to that with a client because I love that you do that, and the must-haves I would think of as your non-negotiables, right? Your things
Yeah.
that you won't buy a
Mhm.
house without. And the nice to haves are, well, it's great if we have that, but it's not going to make us not buy an otherwise perfect house if we don't have it. And I had some clients, I always talk to my clients too about what's important to them when they're buying a house. And the first thing they said to me was, the reason we're moving is because we're on a very busy street and our daughter can't ride her bike in the street without us constantly watching, and we're very worried about her safety. And we got them pre-approved, and fast forward 2 weeks, they called me and said, found the perfect house. We love it. It's awesome, but it's on another busy street. And they had fallen in love with what the house looked like, but
Yeah.
it didn't meet their goals. And so I had to stop them and I said, hey, this is my role in your life, is to help keep you accountable to what's important to you. And, you told me you want to move because you want to have a safe place for your daughter to ride her bike. Is that going to be a safe place for your daughter to ride her bike? And she thought about it and she said, no, it's not. And thank you so much. Because I looked at all the pictures and it looked great. And I just kind of didn't even think about that. And that's for you too, right? When you're asking somebody for that list, it's to help make sure that when they do like a house, it is meeting all the things that they really have to have.
Yeah, like I always ask him, on a scale of 1 to 10, uh, how would you rate this home? One, you know, don't like anything about it.
Mm-hmm,
10, it's perfect. So if you get them to say 8, 8.5 or more,
mm-hmm.
I mean it's pretty much fit everything you're looking for. It doesn't have to be perfect, like
Right.
a 10 or anything. Even a brand new built house is not even a 10. So, you kind of have to keep it realistic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is no perfect house.
No perfect
There
house.
never will be. The good and bad things about everything in life. How about
Yes.
number three? What's your third?
The third thing is instead of just looking at some properties online, um, go out and look at some properties in person. You can go out and look at it in person right now. And then that's going to help you become more educated about the market, what's available in the open market. Also, you don't miss out on any of the opportunities that may be available now. And sometimes it's not all about the price.
Mhm.
It could be the amenities, being close to good school, being in a nice neighborhood. Um, so you may be able to find some hidden gems, by looking at the home in person.
Mhm.
And one other way you can look at some of the houses on your own is to go look at some open houses.
Well, and I think, just like you said about the neighborhood being important to people, here we're in Minnesota, right? And
Yes.
this tends to be the time, people go out and look at homes after work a lot of times. And so if they're either going before work or after work, good likelihood it's dark outside, right? And,
Yeah.
if you are interested in a certain area, being familiar with what that neighborhood looks like and acts like during the day and at night is a good thing if you're thinking about living there, because you might have only seen it in one form or in the other.
Yeah. And I always encourage them to drive by to
Hmm.
see if you like the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And sometimes the road, like you said, is too busy.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's not a very good, safe neighborhood, too close to apartments, too close to other businesses, it's noisy, all kinds of things.
Yeah, you just won't know if you're only there for a snapshot in time, right? You're only there for
Yeah, you can't tell by looking at online
right,
because it
exactly.
only shows the house, but not the whole neighborhood. That
Right,
may be,
right.
yeah,
Well, and something that's probably important for people who are listening to know is they can go out and look at open houses without a real estate agent, right?
yes. And I sometimes my clients will go out and look at some open houses. I always tell them that, when you walk in, make sure you let the agent that's hosting the open house that you are represented, that you're already working with a realtor so that um, there's no miscommunication later on, you know, with the representation.
Right. So that way they can preserve their right to have their own representative,
Yes.
which is
And
important.
sometimes, yeah, and in the agent that's hosting the open house, they represent the seller
Mhm.
and they're not representing the buyer. So you as a buyer, yeah, you have to be aware of that.
Mm-hmm. And you just keep your comments to yourself inside your head and you share them with your own real estate agent, not with the agent who's representing the seller.
Yeah, that's right. Mhm.
Is there anything else that people should think about if they're getting ready to buy a house in the spring?
Well, if they're really serious about buying a home in the spring and they they know what they want and they've already met with a mortgage consultant. And the fourth thing I'd recommend is to choose your real estate agent wisely
Tell me
because
more about that.
I see there's a lot of agents that do this business part-time and they can't they're not always there to inform you when a home that's in their neighborhood that just came on the market. They could let you know that, the house is on just came on the market. Um, Make sure that you have that opportunity to go out there and look at it before it gets sold.
Right?
That's then probably the number one reason. And then, having an agent that's gonna represent you in the best way, writing offers for you that and they can negotiate on your behalf,
Mm-hmm.
and also help you during the negotiating or after the offer's accepted, to look out for any issue that may come up during the whole process. So during the whole transaction, um, just there may be some things that come up you're not aware of, and your realtor or agent could resolve those issues for you.
Right. Well, and that's why having good, wide, vast, lengthy experience in the real estate business is so important because there's so many things that can happen in a real estate transaction, right? And you might have this unique situation once and not have it again for 5 or 6 years. So somebody who's only been in the market or in the real estate business for a short amount of time or hasn't done a lot of transactions doesn't have the opportunity to be exposed to as many issues and how to resolve them as somebody who's handled a lot of transactions and been in this business a long time.
Yes, the more you've been in the business, the more problems that you've come across with, and you know how to handle them.
Yeah.
And you just have to stay calm and work those through. You may have to bring in your broker
Mm-hmm.
to help. Didn't you have one that was had an issue a month ago that one with the water in the basement?
Yeah. And thankfully, the agents on both sides of that transaction were very experienced and worked really well together, and it got resolved. Um, but I can't say that that would have been the outcome had it been people who hadn't been in the business for very long.
Are you willing to share like what happened? Like, did you have to push the closing out a little bit?
They chose to move the closing out because
Okay.
they wanted to get more bids on how to handle the water in the basement. Um,
Oh, okay.
and then there were some issues with the water in the basement needing the fix needing to be escrowed and needing to work through that because they had a special kind of loan. So we needed to figure out how to fit that into the type of loan that they were doing. But in the end, it all got resolved at a cost that was agreeable to the seller. It fixed the issue for the buyer, so they were very happy. And the money's sitting there and waiting to be used in March when they do the fix.
So both realtors were experienced, and you've been in business for like 30 something years too.
33 years, yeah.
So
Yeah.
so everyone walked away happy. That's
Right.
the name
But
of the game.
right, you're 100%, you're right. If anybody in that triangle, the real estate agents or the lender, isn't knowledgeable, experienced, and able to work with one another, that could have been a transaction that didn't happen for the
Yeah,
client.
kind
And
of a disaster.
right. And it went from not a disaster to a very
Yeah.
successful transaction. And they're
Yeah.
going to have a basement that's got extra drain tiling in it. So hooray.
Yeah. That'll last them, you know, for as long as they live there.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
in retrospect, it's I would say it's a good thing that they happened to have water in the basement the day of the walkthrough, because if that would happen the day after they bought the house, nobody would have known that was a problem, and it would have been too late to get it fixed. But thankfully, it happened on the day of the walkthrough, and that made it
Unusual
apparent.
blessing in disguise.
Yeah, exactly. As much as
Mm.
they chose to move the closing date back before it,
Yeah,
it helped them end up with a property that was, safe and habitable and did what they wanted it to do. So,
great.
yep, you have it exactly right. It's so important to have people in the transaction who aren't doing it part-time, because if they are doing it part-time, they just don't have the exposure to the amount of issues. And the more exposure you have, the more you learn how to resolve issues for people.
Yes.
So I think that those are great tips. And there are, like I said, there are going to be people going to holiday parties, right? They're going to be visiting with their family, and they might be talking about, this is the year we really want to buy a house, or we're getting too big for our house. We are having a baby, or our job has changed, and we need to move. We're going to do that this spring. And so if they are thinking about making a move and they want to reach out to you for some advice or to connect and talk it through with you, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, the best way to get a hold of me is just to call me on my cell phone, and my number is 952-994-6988. You can call or text.
Perfect.
That's the best way.
Awesome. Thank you for talking this through with me today. I think this will be really helpful for a lot of people who have that on their radar for their New Year's resolutions for next year.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, have a great afternoon.
You too. All right.